I am so happy with how this looks for the Rangers. We have a pitcher, Jack Leiter, and he is a dude.
Athletic enough to get to any ball. And while I do think his hitting is worse than Derek Jeter, it's not that far off.
So he reached double digits. The big question has been answered.
It just leaves it to where I don't believe that the Canadians had a shot.
The steal of the draft is Will Taylor to the Texas Rangers in the 19th round after he signs with them.
We'll see what happens during his career. It's important to keep his Scotty around Chris Middleton. It's important to keep his Dennis Rodman, which I believe is like Drew Holiday, another important defender, a guy who's a team builder. And maybe that's PJ Tucker. I don't know who's the Dennis Rodman of the team.
I really don't like the Clippers just kind of sending it in when they're like, good job, Manfred. You won't get many of those for the rest of the year.
And you can quote this on me. There is no way the Orioles or Red Sox make the playoffs this season. There's no way. There's no way.
You're not mentioning 2006. You can mention the other people. Not 2006. You already took your math shot.
Well, it's also like you think, oh, just because I bought the best soap doesn't mean your room's going to be clean. Just because you bought the best vacuum doesn't mean the floor is going to be not dirty.
And then you have the Diamondbacks. And then Giants, I have them above the Rockies because I don't have any idea what the Rockies are doing.
Sam Bennett's someone I really expected to be a better player.
There will be a Rodgers playing for Green Bay, even though he may not be the quarterback. But it's still unknown there. Austin is giving me the dead stare, so I guess don't mention Aaron Rodgers to him right now.
Yeah, so we can compare a rookie QB to a toddler.
Corey Perry will give some veteran presence to the Canadians and to just help give some insights on what he did last year.
I agree 100%, and the reason why I agree is because this is a terrible trade for the long term.
What would you have said if I bet you $100 at the end of the round robin and start of the playoffs that the Stars would be in the Stanley Cup playoffs, or Stanley Cup finals?
Hi, this is Kelly Forbes with the Dallas Stars, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NHL Opinions of the Week. Today, we'll be talking about the 7 biggest deals in our opinion. And we'll start with number 7, which was a deal and then was canceled by the NHL. And that's the Dadonov trade from the Knights to the Anaheim Ducks. But Dadonov has no trade clause. So he really... And the Ducks are not on that list. And the Vegas Golden Knights violated that, so the NHL just canceled that. Any more thoughts?
I'll explain it a little bit better. So when the season begins, before the season begins, when you have a trade clause such as Dadonov does, you have to submit a 10 list. I can't be traded to these 10 teams. And that is on your contract, not necessarily. So he made that deal with the Senators. He was obviously traded to Vegas, who wasn't on that list. But then that still holds true. Vegas could not trade him to any of the 10 teams, and Anaheim was on that 10-team no trade to. It was in the clause, and when he was traded to them, that broke it. So he could not be traded because in his preseason no trade clause, it was established that he could not be traded to 10 teams. One of those teams was the Ducks, so it fell through.
Okay. And so I feel that's important because now how do the Golden Knights rebound this with Dadonov? While he is a player and he understands it's very weird. And that's why it's on our number 7. Any other thoughts?
Yep. Nope. It's a very weird deal, but that's how the NHL works sometimes.
Now, number 6, we have Kaapo Kakanienen to the Sharks. The Wild traded him. I feel it's a good pickup by the Sharks. Later on, we understand now why the Wild did this, but Kakanienen, I feel, is a good goalie. It's just he needs more time, and where his trajectory just doesn't fit with the Wild right now. But the Sharks, I think, capitalized, and it's a nice deal for them as they're gearing up and they're just getting whatever pieces they can.
Yeah. Kaapo Kakkonen is a good goaltender. He was a backup to Cam Talbot, but now there's a new goaltender in town, and it definitely makes sense why the Wild and Sharks made this move.
Now we go on to number 5, and that's Hampus Lindholm. Traded to the Bruins. The Bruins got a lot of defensemen, but Lindholm, I think, is going to offer a lot more offensive ability with the defenseman, and something that the Bruins have been missing since Krug left. Um, he may not be as offensively gifted as Krug, but I think defensively, it's just good to have a good offensive defenseman who's good at defending as well.
Yeah, I really like this move, and then obviously the Bruins extended him for a long time right after the deal, so it made a lot of sense, and then they locked him up long term, so I think it's a good trade for both sides.
Yeah. And now we move on to number 4, and that's Mark Giordano being traded from the Kraken to the Maple Leafs. Maple Leafs made a big move a few days before. People were thinking they would get Fleury, but it just didn't work out. And now Giordano, the Kraken didn't look like they were going to make the playoffs, and they traded Giordano, and I think capitalized on it. And it's just good for the Maple Leafs because Giordano has been to a Stanley Cup. He's won playoff series, and it's something that the Maple Leafs need, and they need that as he's a good defenseman. Um, so I think it'll be good with them. They needed defense, and he just brings that leadership quality. That's the main thing I take from this deal.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense for the Kraken as well. They were a team that is currently still building to become a contender, and they obviously you're not there yet. But I don't think Giordano played in the Stanley Cup. I think he was after that 03-04 Stanley Cup when they
Oh, okay.
lost to the Tampa Bay Lightning. But he still has a lot of experience. Has made long runs in the playoffs before, and I think this is a better trade for Seattle than it is for the Maple Leafs, as the Maple Leafs are getting a 38-year-old defenseman who is definitely not still in his prime, but they're playing a win now mode, so makes sense.
Now we go to the Panthers. They made a big move with getting Giroux from the Flyers. Giroux had made it known that he only wanted to go to the Flyers. He only wanted to go to the Panthers from the Flyers. The Flyers have been in a weird situation. Like they didn't play well last year, and now this year they're not playing well, and they're like, okay, we're just gonna retool. So maybe this shows like, okay, we're just gonna trade away pieces like Giroux, who I believe is a free agent this offseason.
Yeah, yes.
So I think it's a good pickup by the Panthers because they haven't won a playoff series in a while. So and they've just played really well, and getting Giroux offensively, I think, will help them. What do you think?
Yeah, their last playoff series win was in 2020 over the Canadians, but Giroux had been on the team. He was the one who had made a Stanley Cup run back in 2010 when they had lost in 6 games to the Blackhawks. But Giroux is a very good player. He has been for a while, and I think adding him to the Panthers only furthers their chances of beating whatever faces them in the playoffs.
Thanks for the catch. I don't know who I was thinking of. I thought their last like playoff series one was in 2011. Am I
No.
confusing them with? Okay, man, I can't remember what team I'm thinking of. But then they made another move, and that's Ben Sherratt was traded from the Canadians to the Panthers. Them just stacking on the deadline and really showing that they're trying to go far in the playoffs. I think this is more of an indication of the Canadians. Like Sherratt was a very good player, and I'm just surprised they traded someone like him away.
It makes sense. A lot of guys are hurt. Shea Weber probably won't play again. We don't know if Carey Price will play again. A lot of the players that were on that Stanley Cup team last year have moved on. Corey Perry, Dano, just a lot of players gone from that team that made it so far, and they picked up two guys who have been to a Stanley Cup but not won it, and they keep bulking and bulking and bulking. The rich get richer, even though they've never made it past the first round since 1996.
I think that's what it was. Past the first round. That's what I was thinking of with the Panthers. except I don't know where 2011 came from, but that's what I can remember. It was the first round. So now we go to our biggest one that we feel. Marc Andre Fleury to the Wild. Once again traded. And it's just wild because the Golden Knights, they need goaltending. So it calls into question why they traded Marc Andre Fleury. They should have just they should have found another way to deal with it. And then the Blackhawks, they have not played well this season, and really not living up to the high expectations we had for them. But it was good to get something back. It's a conditional second rounder, but it could move up to a first depending on if they make it to the Stanley Cup final. The Wild, am I correct on that
Yes.
terminology? So I feel it's a really good pickup, and now you have Talbot and Marc Andre Fleury as your goalies for the Wild, who I think really. I'm not sure how next season's going to go because the cap for Suter, and I can't remember the other person that they cut this offseason. It was Suter, and who's the other person?
Breezy.
Parisi. The cap hits, I believe, really hit hard next season, so they may not be able to extend or re-sign Fleury, or Fleury may not want to go to them. So I really think they short up their goaltending, and they have fantastic offense, so they will be dangerous in the playoffs.
Yeah. Fleury's been to 5 Stanley Cups, has won 3. Now he wasn't a starter for all of those, but most recently in 2018, 17-18, he was the starter for the Vegas Golden Knights. Their first season, they make it to the Cup, losing 5 to the Washington Capitals. Fleury has a ton of experience, has been on now 4 teams. This is his 4th team. And I would argue he's played well for all of them. So I think this is a great pickup. And I wouldn't be surprised necessarily if this pushes them over the hump and they win the West.
Yeah, I can definitely see that happening. Fleury is currently at 19 wins versus 21 losses, and I feel that's good, especially with like how the Blackhawks just haven't played well. So I think his wins will definitely rack up with a team like the Wild and just how powerful their offense is. I think one keynote is the only real thing that Carolina did was extend Kakanyemi, and I don't blame them for not making moves. I think they really made a lot of moves in the offseason, and they're already in good position to go far in the playoffs. What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. A lot of teams are setting themselves up. And sometimes the best move is not to make one because you don't want to make a trade and then regret it. So if you're confident in your guys and you think you have the players to do it, and obviously the Hurricanes do, then you just move on and continue with the season how it is.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. That is all we got for the trades. Make sure to check out our other episodes, and thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.